Hi there, this is Mike Ram of Weightloss and Personal Development. As we go through life, I think most of us are fairly united in what we want, which is better, bigger and more for ourselves. We want to make the most out of what we can have, yet very often things stand in our way. And while sometimes they're external obstacles, very often they're internal ones. Emotions that we haven't gained control over. And above all, the emotion of fear seems to stand in the way of a lot of people's dreams as being something which controls and modifies our behaviour. So this fear comes in the form of anxieties, stress, and often works on a subliminal level. We just instinctively stop ourselves doing things that we could do that really would enhance our lives an awful lot and settle for a safe option, if you like. Now, a lot of the origin of this rests in the amygdala, that part of our brains which is concerned with fight or flight responses. When we see danger, we flee, or we stop, turn and fight. Now, this part of our brain is what you call archaic. It's been there for years and years and years and years. And obviously, its nature has changed because the world we live in has changed. It's no longer a world of saber-toothed tigers lurking around the mouths of our caves. It's a world where we go on underground trains and constantly have to rush to places, and we have intricate social lives, and we get involved in a completely different range of activities to the precursor of our destinies in whom this archaic part of our brains originated. Now, we still carry the amygdala, but it's sort of constantly on alert because within our minds we have so many things going on, some of which we don't particularly like, and as our minds become more complex, so do our imaginations, and we may think things that set off these processes within us that are stress responses to danger that's perceived. No, it's not necessarily real. And so we carry this feeling around with us, this sort of subliminal fear that informs us, and anxiety that stops us, and we get grabbed by maybe panic attacks, stress attacks, which quite frankly aren't very good for us. And if we continue to live like that, then eventually it starts to become a serious illness, which of course nobody really wants, but they don't necessarily know how to deal with. And it's said that often our amygdala is sort of switched on in a fight and flight response to things that rarely have absolutely no relation to real danger, but they're just sort of perceived. Maybe the threat of somebody talking about us behind our back and giving us a negative press, or the threat of being late for a meeting, that we are engaging those sort of responses to deal with things that are completely out of the range, should be out of the range of this part of our brains, but we haven't yet learned how to turn it off, because modern life, it's just very different to how it was. And I think we have to recognize these feelings as pointing really to not very much at all. This fear that grips us, if you like, the anxiety, it's pointing to things that haven't happened yet, that may not happen, and may be completely illusory, that we don't actually know whether they're going to happen, but we imagine them. And that is not very good for us, because obviously we want to be living in reality. We want to be here and now rather than trapped in minds that are sort of spacing out on this feeling that things aren't what they should be. So getting to grips with this fear can be a very important part of our growth. Now, fear, it's often explained that what it really stands for is false evidence appearing real. Now, don't confuse fear with danger. The danger, any dangers we come across, they are real, and you have to take steps to deal with it as you come across it. And then once you're clear of it, you stop feeling the response. But in modern man, the flight and fight response has been so wound up and so triggered that it's barely off at all, and it's always running, and very often in completely inappropriate situations. But you can start to get a handle on it by just recognizing that the thing that you're afraid of may never, probably won't ever happen, and that we're wasting time, energy and well-being on these imaginations which really have no place in our lives, and they're completely illusory. So dealing with it actually opens up a lot of room to have a better life, and transcending fear, anxiety and stuff should be a part of our future project to have a better life. And starting to recognize these things that we're afraid of, that we're anxious about, that we get stressed up about, as just being that, is part of it. Because obviously the more pleasure and joy you can bring to the table, the better you're going to feel, and the better you feel, the better the life you're going to have. It's sort of a natural consequence. And if you know anything about the law of attraction, like attracts like, so if you're feeling in a good place, you're more likely to attract good things happening to you. Whereas if you're in a bad place, it's quite likely you'll get more bad things to make you feel worse. Which sounds sort of quite harsh, but that seems to be the way that it works. Anyway, that is really what I wanted to talk about today, this sense of anxiety, stress that so many of us are weighed down by in our lives, and which really stops us from enjoying ourselves, because more than anything else we want to create our own lives. We want to be the people coming up with it. We're writing our own script rather than being the manager of our circumstances, because the closer you get to having the life that you dream of having, that you envision having, then the happier you're going to be, the more satisfied. And having complete control over circumstances in your life is a very pleasant place to be. And most of us aren't there. Yeah, I hold my hand up with complete honesty. I'm not there. Most people aren't. But if you're like me, then I'm trying to become more and more like that, and have greater control over it, because that's a much happier place to be. And coming to terms with these emotions that block us off, if you like, from having the life that we envisage ourselves having, getting rid of those anxieties and fears which are based on illusion, is a good place in where to start. So I'll leave you with that thought, that actually one of the ways forward to realizing our better lives, becoming the best expression of ourselves, is in controlling these sort of emotions which don't really have a place anymore, and creating more positive emotions for ourselves, like love and bliss and appreciation. Anyway, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you on another video sometime soon. Give me a like if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you want, go and collect a copy of the free product I'm offering, which is basic tips about to add to your weight loss efforts. It's just very practical tips that help your journey along. And take care. Bye for now.